The Ice Age franchise is well known for seamlessly blending soul-crushing drama with cool action set pieces and memorable characters. The emotional core of the first movie is Manny finding a new family after they're killed by the very thing he's protecting. The second movie follows Ellie and her broken home. The third movie follows Sid and his existential crisis within the family. The fourth movie is about our family being broken up once again, with a reminder that without the herd, Sid has no family. Drama of the fifth and final installment of the trilogy? Yeah, Manny's daughter is like a basic white girl and wants this dumb of a boyfriend, but Manny doesn't like him because he's a hippie. Wait, what? Are you saying that's not good drama? That's ridiculous. Well, what if I throw in a subplot about Sid trying to get some pussy? Genius! Ay, we're really doing this. You guys seem to like my last video on the demise of the Ice Age franchise, so here we go again. Don't get me wrong, I've always liked these movies. Well, the first few at least. The first is a classic, the second is an action-packed follow-up, and the third was a perfect wrap-up for the trilogy. But no, they had to keep going. Some of the action in the fourth movie was cool, but it was starting to become obvious what they were doing. This franchise has been milked to death by a studio that now doesn't even exist. And way after it was even relevant anymore, the fifth movie came out. And, But enough pregame fluff, let's just jump right into this asteroid slamming, adrenaline pumping, stuff. So, our adventures usually get kicked into gear by the work of Scrat shenanigans, and this movie is no different. At least this one had the courtesy to include Scrat, Jesus. Basically, he finds a spaceship trapped in the ice, a callback to the first movie, and launches into space. He slams into planets and asteroids, eventually creating the solar system. Okay, pump the brakes. Already, this is f***ed. From a timeline standpoint, this isn't even trying to be historically accurate. And I know what you're thinking, who cares about historical accuracy? It's an Ice Age movie. Right, but continental shifting still took place during the Ice Age. A dinosaur lost world? Okay, feasible enough for the Ice Age. But this is billions of years ago we're talking about. They didn't even try to sync this up. They just needed an excuse to literally get the ball rolling on this story with an asteroid. I know it's a small nitpick with the story, but let's just move past it. We're finally at the title card after all. Basically, the plot of this installment is that there's an asteroid coming towards Earth, and the herd has to get to the crash site to figure out what keeps attracting the space rock. Because this isn't the first time that this has happened. It happened with the trilobites and with the dinosaurs. Okay, I can accept that. That's not too far of a stretch. The story makes relative sense so far. Had to borrow a plotline from Adventure Time to do it, but it's still a story. And here comes one of the only positive things I can say about this movie at all. They brought back the best character in the franchise, by far. Yes, Buck Wild is in this movie. Thank God. This character just brings so much energy to every scene he's in, and this movie would be mind-numbingly boring without him. But what about the side plots, you ask? Well, you're in luck. You've got several to pick from. Quality not guaranteed. But at least you got options, right? Manny has a story where he forgets he and Ellie's anniversary, and he's forgiven after like 5 minutes. Manny and Ellie have a plot where they're trying to convince Peaches and her boyfriend to live close to home. Wait, what's the boyfriend's name again? Oh shit, we forgot to name the poor kid. Okay, we need a name for this boyfriend character. Quick, think of the most 80s all-American football player boyfriend name for this white girl stereotype. Brad? No, he has to be dumber. Julian. There it is. We've also got Sid looking for a girlfriend. Man, Sid really gets shafted in every single one of these movies. He's always like the doormat of the herd. For God's sakes, that's the entire plot of the third movie. Anyway, Diego and his girlfriend. Wow, a lot of girlfriend subplots. They're trying not to be scary to some kids we don't know. Alright, I guess that's something. Nothing really stands out here, and not all of it is followed up on either. Not to mention, all of them were based on someone looking for a girlfriend or boyfriend. Man, the writers of this movie were just lonely, weren't they? It's like a Star versus romance subplot, but there's 5 of them and they take up the whole story. Wait, that is just Star versus.
I like this.
Hang in there. Don't let it get to
You shut the fuck
But
up!
also,
You shut the fuck
let
up!
me hit you a little bit.
You
So do
shut
I.
the fuck up! You shut
What
the
if it was
fuck up!
never the
I hope you.
whatnot?
But at least the characters are consistent, right? Nope. You wish. Manny continues to be an asshole to, Julian, just because he has to be. That's his one defining trait. being the asshole. I swear to God, Manny's like the Lightning McQueen of this franchise. Sid is also one note. He's lonely, and that's all there is to it. Wow, such an in-depth character. And Diego's increasing irrelevance in the story is just sad. He was a compelling loner in the first film, and that's all been thrown out the window now. I'll tell you what, Diego should have been the one with the lonely subplot. Every other supporting character has the occasional line here and there, and that's pretty much it. Well, except for Buck, who is actually great, as we've established. So let's talk about the actual story now, shall we? It turns out that the crash site is littered with thousands of magnetic crystals that attract asteroids, and that's why it always crashes into the same place. Fine, okay, that makes some sort of sense. But how did we go from helping a baby find its way home to diverting an actual asteroid? Like Ethan Klein himself, we have officially gone off the rails. Let me tell you something. Upping the stakes isn't the only way to make a sequel. I don't know how many times I gotta say it. How many times do I have to say it for you to get it through your thick skulls, Hollywood? Upping the stakes does not equal better. Sure, it can help in some cases, but when it's done to this degree, it just feels like forced. If the asteroid had been teased in earlier movies or something, then yeah, it would be thematically appropriate for the final entry in this franchise. But you gotta make it feel that way. It's clear that they weren't laying out any kind of plan here. Even a trilogy like Kung Fu Panda knows how to lay the groundwork for a character development. The inclusion of Mr. Ping as an adoptive father drives the second and third installments. It just makes sense. So take a seat, Manny, Diego, and Sid, and Ryan Johnson over there in the corner. You all need a properly structured story. Okay, so maybe the story is lacking. What about the comedy? I am pleased to announce that this is one of the most painfully unfunny films I've seen in a long time. I mean, we're not on the level of this.
Got a lemonade with chicken wings. I wanna cut loose cause I can't see, so I might just
Shut up, bitch!
But it's still not good. This movie seems to have some weird obsession with ass jokes. I don't want to play the montage here in the video because I want to spare you from that hurricane of cringe, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's not enough that we need like the MPAA or something, but it's still a shocking amount that it happens so much. There's also a ton of pop culture references, like they play Pitbull's Fireball at one point, and other songs in the same vein. It's just... why? You're making your movie incredibly dated. But to be fair, we have been incredibly negative so far. So let's detail some of the stuff that I actually did like. There's not a lot, but it is worth mentioning. The animation is actually pretty nice. This is one of the most colorful animated movies I've seen in a long time. And this came out 7 years ago. Just look at some of these frames, they actually look gorgeous. Either that or sickeningly vibrant. Sorry, okay. Candles, think positive. Even the Scrat animation is impressive and incredibly dynamic. If Tom and Jerry were remade today, not that way, I'd be okay if it was animated like this. And some of the, camera work in this movie is pure gold. There's a scene where Buck is introduced back into the franchise and he's stealing an egg from someone who stole it first. It's one long take with some dynamic and powerful action sequences. I like it, and it's the little things like that that make you appreciate this thing. Also, the Neil deGrasse Tyson jokes are actually kind of funny to me. I know they shouldn't be, but they are. Okay, one last thing. And it's not pretty. The antagonist of this movie is pure dog shit. The villains are technically these birds that are chasing Buck, and their plan is... Even the movie itself calls them out on this. They want the asteroid to kill everyone so that they can fly above it and rule the world. Excuse me, what? Look, movie, just because you're self-aware about your increased terribleness doesn't excuse you from continuing to do it. This isn't Rick and Morty. The fact that we don't have a sentient antagonist severely hurts this movie. And again, those birds, they don't count. I remember Rudy from Dawn of the Dinosaurs. His whole character was a reference to the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. A fantastic antagonist. But this movie... sorry, you're SOL in the villains department. On a more serious note, this movie really could have been something special. I was still kind of on board after the fourth movie. Not entirely, but I thought it still had a chance to come back. Look, if I were in charge of making this last film, I'd probably write an incredibly emotional story about Manny getting separated from the rest of the herd, while everyone else is getting attacked by an advancing human tribe. They're taking over more and more territory, and just before everyone is shoved off a cliff, Manny shows up to save them. It turns out that this human leader is the baby that they saved, and there's this emotional moment where it all connects back to the first movie. The humans leave that area for good, as repayment for saving the kid's life all those years ago, because he remembers them. They both needed to have their families in order to be okay emotionally. Everyone's happy. The end. Title card, fade to black. I feel like that would have been so good, you know? An incredibly emotional send-off to this star-studded franchise. Alas, that story will never come to be. At least we had some fun while it lasted. Okay, so that was my review of Ice Age Collision Course. If I'm being honest, this video just ended up being a long rant about the worst installment and nothing else. Sorry, second worst installment. But hey, that's just how it be sometimes. Overall, I think I'd give this movie, 3 out of 10. A 3. And that's generous. The animation is good, sometimes Buck is entertaining, but other than that, this is just a depressing last breath of a dying franchise. Maybe we'll get a continuation in the future that's actually faithful, but who knows. That's all I have for you today, guys. We'll circle back next week for some more TV and movie reviews and news. My name's Candles, and thanks for watching. Peace out.